Acharya. All Satana 63 Shima is divine grace. Navaya Chanana Bhaktivedanta Goswami. Marshila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Ram Nityananda Shri Radha Shivasri Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopurna Sai Mukunda Radhakunda Ki Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Ki Jai. Sharam Ki Jai. Jagannath Swami Ki Jai. Yamunamai Ki Jai. Srimati Vasudevi Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Gaur Vrindananda. All glories to the assembled Lords. All glories to the assembled Lords. All glories to the assembled Lords. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya. Udale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Orvani Jari Nishesha Shunyavadi Paschachane Shatari Om Ganatha Vedanda Shadhanjana Sharada Chakshur Medikam Nevatasai Shri Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Holy Speak of my spiritual master, His divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, torched by His knowledge, while I was blinded in the darkness of ignorance. So today we have this ceremony called.
Just quickly, an asked about translation.
Oh, translation.
Eu estou contando isso aqui nesta suomeksi, niin voimme kääntää tuolla viereisessä huoneessa. Eli käännys suomeksi mahdollista tuossa viereisessä huoneessa. Thank you very much.
I know one word. So today we have this ceremony, because I should go slow, so they can translate. Okay. We have this ceremony called initiation. Now, I want to describe what initiation is and what is the purpose of initiation. But first, I want to talk about the soul. That's interesting. What is the soul? So, the soul is a spiritual entity. And that spiritual entity, right now, at least for those of us who are strong, that spiritual entity is taken on two bodies. One is what we call the linga sharira, the subtle body, and that's the mind, intelligence, and ego. And the other one is what we call the gross body. It's earth, water, fire, air, matcha, mahabuddha. So, this soul right now, that's all of us, we have a soul. Each of us is an individual soul. We're not all the same soul. As much as you like to think that we're all the same soul, we're not. We're all individual souls. And each one of these souls is identifying with these two types of bodies. With the mind, with the ego, like that, intelligence. And with this, it's called the machine that we're walking around with. The Bhagavad Gita, famous book, some of you might know this book, it actually talks about the body being a machine. And the word in Sanskrit is yantra. Yantra means machine, yantra, and as far as the subtle body is concerned, that's the body of our desires. And when we go from one, this is reincarnation, we go from one grosser body, gross not in the sense of disgusting, although you can see it like that. But when we go to the sense that gross means like more perceivable. So we go from one type of gross body to another type of gross body. We carry the subtle body with us. Now, both of these types of bodies are covering our real identity. It's interesting. Because our real identity is there. But these bodies keep us forgetting our real identity. Now, the solution is not to get rid of the bodies. Don't think I'm advocating suicide here. No, that's not my point. The solution is to actually clear the subtle body so you can use the gross body for the proper purposes. So what is the purpose of, what is the methodology of clearing the subtle body? That's described by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Cheto Darpana Varjanam Prabhavahad Nirvapanam Shreyakana Vichandrikatara, the Jew Vadachidananda Budi Vardanam Pratipadam Puranamrita Sahatanam Sarva Vasnapanam Puramajaya Krishna Sankirtanam. And for those of you who don't speak Sanskrit, chanting Hare Krishna. That's the literal translation of the whole verse. By chanting Krishna's names, then this subtle body becomes clarified. And one is able to see who they actually are. Now, why does that work? That by chanting Krishna's name, the subtle body becomes clarified. It's interesting. You can't just chant anything. And you can try chanting, for example, some of you like to eat pizza, right? You could try chanting pizza, 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 pizza all over. What's the word in Finnish for pizza? Say, yeah, I know some Finnish things. So you could try chanting just any mundane word, and it doesn't do any good. But the interesting thing about spiritual sound vibration, the name Krishna, and of course Rama, okay, we'll describe what they mean in a second. And even Om, some of you yogis, I'm sure are familiar, they know Om. What's the Sanskrit, what's the Finnish word for Om? He doesn't know. So. Om. Actually, I used to chant Om all the time. Before I came to Krishna consciousness, I go to the forest and chant Om for hours and hours and hours, and all the animals would come up to me like this. Guru Maharaj, please accept the initiation, please. No, they didn't say anything, but they would come up and they would watch me. Because you can resonate like that, because Om is the Pranava Sarva Vedeshu Saptake Purusham Rishu. That's another Bhagavad Gita verse. It's the syllable, the pranava in the Vedic literatures. And of course, Om is the same as Hare Krishna in many respects. So all these sound vibrations, spiritual sound vibrations like Om, Krishna, Ram, Parshuram, Matsya. Matsya actually means fish. But when it refers to Krishna who comes down as a fish, did you know Krishna comes as a fish? Sometimes. Yeah. And Matsya. Correct was the tortoise. The tortoise. Krishna is so interesting. He has all incarnations in all the species of life. So if you ever see a cat or a dog with a peacock feather, off your obeisance is a living Krishna. So anyway, so all these different names of Krishna's spiritual sound vibrations, they're all connected. They're all the same as Krishna. Another verse from Lord Chaitanya's teachings is Ananamakare Bhavata Nijasarva Shakti, right? That Krishna's invested all, but you can't just chant anything. You have to chant specific sound vibration that has been given by a disciplic succession. Is also an understatement. If you chant something and it hasn't come down in disciplic succession, Sampradaya Vinahi Mantras English Pramana, it won't be so effective. That's why she's chanting. See, you already got a devotee in ecstasy back there. Hearing Krishna's voice. Well, crying. So, wow. So anyway, it's hard to just do some funny background. So could the child not go outside for a second? Okay. So these sound vibrations are not different from the entity whom they refer to. That's interesting, isn't it? Material sound is different from what it refers to. Like you have different words in different languages. You know, in English we say water and water, right? You check water and water all the time. I don't quench my thirst. It's not my drinking water. But when I say Krishna's name, I'm in contact directly with Krishna. And the interesting thing is, because we're explaining why the heart becomes pure, why the subtle body becomes purified, is that Krishna is in the heart, as described in Bhagavad Gita, Videshya Arjuna Tishtati. And Krishna does the cleaning process. Isn't it? Griyanta Sto Yavadrani Vinunavati Sarisanam. These are all Sanskrit verses, which I like to call impression. And Krishna is in the heart. Krishna is in the heart. No, actually, we quote these verses just to show that actually I'm not just inventing this philosophy. You know, people may think, this guy, his own philosophy, But no, our philosophy, or the philosophy that I'm speaking, the understanding that I have, is coming down through a disciplic succession from the Vedic literatures. And that's why we believe in what we believe in. Actually, it's very interesting. Very interesting point. Why do you believe in what you believe in? This is called, in English, epistemology. Why do you believe that from my own experience of 55 years of doing the same thing. How many of you have done the same thing for 55 years? How many people are 55 years old? I do the same thing. Well, sometimes you're breathing for the last You have the same wife for the last 55 years. How many years have you been married? 23. That's a long time. It's a new record. So anyway, so I've been doing this for so many years, and I've experienced the results. That's called prajaksha in Sanskrit, the direct experience. Prajaksha, and it's verified by all these great personalities in the sutras and such, and it's verified by the Vedic literature. And that's why I'm speaking about what I'm speaking about, and I can believe in it, and I 100% believe it. So anyway, so the chanting, Krishna's in the heart. Krishna is in the heart, and he cleanses the heart. He has a little blue there, or a long torch. That's needed. Because why does it need so much cleansing? Can you imagine if you didn't clean your house for several million years? Get bad after one day. But we have been experiencing especially limited births in this world. And during those births, we experience something called samskaras. For those of you who don't know, generally in India, there are samskaras like Anjeshti or Malakarana. But the word literally means impression. So every time we experience something, we get an impression. Just like when you were young, you had certain impressions. That's why you like certain types of food. You might go to different countries, different favorite dishes, things that they like. I won't tell you what they like in Germany. Is the worst. That's a play of words, not worse. Anyway, so. Sorry, no, people are acclimated to certain things because of impressions, even in this lifetime, right? We like certain types of music. We like certain types of dress. We like certain types of food. So can you imagine we've had impressions for many, many lifetimes? That's why some people are born with certain phobias. A phobia means a fear. Let's say someone's born and they're very much afraid of water, aquaphobia, or very much afraid of closed places, claustrophobia. And that may come from past lives. So we have all these different impressions from past lives. I mean, sometimes you may dream that you're a bird. That means probably in your past life you were some bird. And you landed on electric line and got electrocuted. Or you may dream. Anyway, all these dreams we have, it's sometimes we put things together. One line, two lines, just in the dream. So these are called impressions. And these impressions also determine our particular personality too. The material personality, not the spiritual personality. And so it's necessary to do the cleaning of all these impressions. That's why we have today initiation is a samskara, a process to help clean. And part of that samskara was initiation means you begin. You begin the samskara and you continue it by the chanting. And the chanting, because it's Krishna directly, Krishna's in the heart, Krishna cleanses the heart, and then you understand who you actually are. Because right now, in other examples, you have amnesia. Everybody knows what amnesia is? Forgetfulness. The senior moment. Some people say, this is my senior moment. I forgot what I'm feeling. So anyway, so So we have amnesia, and the whole point to get people to wake up out of amnesia is sound vibration. You tell them about their past, you tell them who their friends are, you tell them who their family is. And then they gradually come to right consciousness. Or even even a more practical day-to-day example is that at night, we sometimes forget who we are. We may travel in our mind to so many different places. But flying, yeah. And then you wake up in the morning. Who here, raise your hand, be honest, has the experience that sometimes it takes you a few seconds to figure out where you are when you wake up in the morning. Especially when I travel a lot, so that sometimes I think, which way is the bathroom? And fortunately, I don't walk out to the balcony and go off the balcony. You know, I take my time. Okay. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram. So then, anyway, but what wakes me up is my alarm clock or alarm watch nowadays. And then I remember who I am, all right, supposed to go for loyalty, supposed to be a Hare Krishna devotee today. And so anyway, so that's really what the chanting does. Because when you cleanse the heart, you realize you're a pure devotee of Krishna. It's interesting. Because everyone here in this room, including the insects, the microbes, who are in the majority, not that many of you are microbes or insects, but the little tiny creatures, there's many more of them here than human people in human bodies, isn't it? Centimeter. So each one of you is a Krishna. You're pure life. And actually that is a fact. But you've forgotten it. There's an interesting verse in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, one of my favorite verses. It's a verse written by Krishna's Goswami. And it goes as follows, more Sanskrit. It just said, Shavanadi Shunajite. Okay, joy. What does that mean? That means they just said, Krishna, we have, it's not something subject. It's not a goal. And it wants to realize the term Krishna. But it's there. It's not something you get from someone else, someplace else. And then Shunajite. Shravanadi Shunajite. By hearing and chanting Krishna's name, then you can realize that. That's all you have to do. Krishna consciousness is very, very, very simple. It's simply chanting Krishna's name, then you realize who you are. And what does it mean to realize who you are? You realize that you're, first of all, servant of Krishna. You become happy. Tushanticha, romanticha, right? You're happy and satisfied. And then you even go deeper and realize that you have a particular nature in relationship with Krishna. Everyone here is either a servant of Krishna in the spiritual world, pretty quiet. Everyone here is either a friend of Krishna in the spiritual world, a parent of Krishna in the spiritual world. So, seriously. So everyone here has their relationship. It's so amazing, cool, fantastic. That all comes with chanting Hare Krishna nicely, with attention, with love. There's a methodology to chanting Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada, my spiritual master and founder of the International Society of Krishna Consciousness, he taught us to chant Hare Krishna. So we'll get quickest results. Because there's different stages in chanting. You can chant Namabhav stage, which is all right. Where you just mean something else or joke about it. That's all right. At least you get liberation. Or you can chant in what's called the offensive stage, which is not a good stage to chant. Or you can chant in the clearing stage, or you can get rid of bad. Offensive just means bad mentality. You know what I'm saying? That's what it does. People get over offense is really heavy. At least having bad mentality, being mean. Chant in the pure stage. So the bad mentality, past spiritual teachers have listed 10 steps, what we call tendencies to get. It's really interesting. One, criticizing dedicated their lives, not a big word. We should give up criticizing people in general, and also criticize people who get their lives spiritual pursuits. We should appreciate anyone. Even if someone chants Krishna's name one time, we offer them special moments. Isn't that amazing? It's a positive thing. And we serve people. We're meant to be servants of everybody. So, and the second thing that you avoid is to consider other names, especially those of you from India, other names of what we call demigods or equal to an independent holy name of the Lord Krishna. Krishna has millions of names. You can choose. There's a literature called Vishnu Sahasranam, which is 1,000 names of Vishnu. So, you don't want to chant Krishna's name? Okay. Chant the name. Of course, we take initiation, it's not okay, but anyways. But for those of you who are not doing initiation, chant Ram, 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 Ram. And even if you're not pious enough to chant Ram, Ram, you can chant Mara, 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 Mara. You know, Mara, Mara, Mara changes into Ram. Mara is like death. Mara, 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 Ram, Ram. If you're not pious enough to chant Ram's name, that's okay. So, or you can chant Krishna. Anyway, there's thousands of names you can chant. But don't think that some regular person's name is the same as chanting Krishna's name. And there are these regular persons that are called demigods in Indian culture. They're just regular persons who have a higher position, higher planetary position. They're not gods. So chanting their name doesn't get you anywhere. It shouldn't get you anywhere. Except, maybe it's like driving somewhere. But it doesn't really accomplish anything spiritual. So, then the next thing to avoid is not following spiritual direction that's coming from the spiritual preceptor spiritual. We don't advise following blindly, but one should follow with intelligence. In fact, probably my spiritual master said blind following certain inquiries or patterns. Those two things should be there. So one should have intelligence, follow with intelligence. And the next thing to avoid is criticizing any spiritual bona fide literatures, no matter what culture they come from. If you're talking about the Western world, like Bible or other spiritual literatures like that, we don't criticize. Any literature that advocates connecting with God is something positive, a positive step in the right direction. So that's also very, very important. Next thing to avoid is thinking that the chanting is just imagination. Obviously, I just described why it's not imagination. Krishna has a power in his name, non-different than Krishna. The name Ram is non-different than Ram, and non-different than Krishna. All these names, Namrumakadi, Bhavada, each is representation. And next thing to avoid is to make some speculative interpretation about Krishna's names. Next thing to avoid is to actually do bad things or sinful activities. In other words, we have four basic principles, things to avoid in Krishna consciousness. Things that we are, or those who take initiation of downward focus, no illicit sex, no gambling, no eating, no intoxication. And the reason we have these four things is not because we want to make your life miserable. And people say, why do you do those four things? Why don't you just say something like, no beet roots, or something like that? Something simple, volleyball, something you might be liquid. Well, the reason these four are picked, very interesting reason, is because of something called the three modes of nature. Goodness, passion, and ignorance. There's certain activities that put you in the mode of ignorance. And the mode of ignorance you can do spiritual things. And also give you bad karma to things. You don't want bad karma. Because you get bad karma, you get a bad result. Your action leads to a reaction. For reaction is equal to opposite reaction. So, for those two reasons, we have these four principles. Like intoxication puts you in the mode of ignorance. You forget. You go into an illusion within an illusion. Is that good? We're already thinking, I'm already thinking, I'm this body, I'm the sannyasi, I'm the big guru. Big guru. Thinking I'm better than anyone here. Big nonsense. Anyway, so, not really. Hopefully I'm not thinking like that. But anyway, but then to take intoxication, it furthers that illusion. It's like a dream within a dream. You ever have a dream, you go into another dream within a dream. Then you wake up in your dream, and you're still in a dream. That's like taking intoxication. So therefore, in a nutshell, we avoid these four activities. And we don't think that chanting is just we can do anything we want and chant, and then we'll be all right. It doesn't work like that. Because Krishna knows better. You can't cheat Krishna. You can chant, you can cheat. You can cheat almost anyone else. You can fool some of the people, some of the time you understand. And maybe you can fool all the people all the time, but you can't fool Krishna any of the time. He sees everything different. That's not to make paranoid. He sees all your thoughts, all your aspirations. Oh my God, all your fears. And there's no way to block him. You're being bugged 24 hours a day. So you can't cheat him. I'm trying to cheat. All right, so the next thing to avoid, is to think that chanting is like a ritual. And that's a common thing that people common misunderstanding that people fall into. After they've been chanting for some time, they take it like, well, this way I gotta do it, this is my 16 rounds or whatever. And we had one devotee who was chanting, he said, wake me up when my rounds are done. So they sort of put themselves on automatic pilot while they chant. Like an airplane. It was interesting. There was an example. They didn't get that here before. But there were some pilots flying an airplane somewhere. And they had an automatic pilot. And they just started to talk about football with each other. And they forgot that plane was flying. So it overshot the airport by about 200 kilometers. And they had to send up jets because they thought, the plane was hijacked. And so they realized they were flying with Lord Channing, flying on automatic pilot. So when you think it's just like a ritual, and that can happen after doing the same thing many years over and over and over and over again, isn't it? Then it becomes a ritual. So that's a very great danger. I think it's like a ritual. Or something you just chant to get yourself some money or something like that. Sometimes people come to start chanting because they want wealth, what they're in distress, they're inquisitive, or they're looking for knowledge. But in any case, we chant for clarification of heart to actually get in touch with Krishna. It's like calling Krishna's mobile phone number. Think about it like that. Okay, next thing to avoid is that we have to be careful about explaining these things to those who are not ready to hear about those things. Try to explain it in a common language. So, we explain as much as people can understand or have the ability to understand about chanting. That's the problem. When we're speaking to about the chanting, we should understand who we're speaking to before we open our mouths. I remember in my own case, it took me 2 more years to actually become what I am today. Because people spoke to me about Krishna consciousness in such a way that it drove me away from chanting Hare Krishna. Like I walked into the Hare Krishna temple, just walked into the Hare Krishna temple, and basically it was like being attacked with the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. So I said, I don't want to see any of those Hare Krishna devotees again. So I turned around, and for a year or 2, I avoided them. Until I met Srila Prabhupada. When I met Srila Prabhupada, I said, all right, here is someone with actual compassion who's not going to mess with me. Telling me I'm not the body. Getting me. I was very attached. Yeah, very attached. Long hair, long beard. You don't have them anymore, do you? Society has progressed. That's another story. So, anyway, the final thing to avoid is we should have, let's put it in the puzzle, we should have full faith in what we're doing, full trust in what we're doing. Because, as I mentioned before, these great souls, great personalities have been following these things. We can see the results in others, and we ourselves are experiencing the results. It works. Krishna consciousness works. Chanting works. Okay? And finally, we should be attentive to chanting. And so then, to come to the right frame of consciousness, my personal advice is to study 8 prayers. And these 8 prayers are written by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They're called the Shastri prayers. And they help us understand the right consciousness to come to in chanting so we can connect in love. Because what does Krishna want? Krishna wants your love. He has everything else. What do you give the person who has everything? That's Krishna. He already owns everything. But he doesn't own one thing, your heart. And he wants that. And that's the only thing that will satisfy you. That's interesting, isn't it? The only thing that will satisfy you is the connection of Krishna, or to Krishna, through the heart, loving exchange. And Krishna is always thinking of helping you, bringing you back to him. Always planning. That's why you're all here in this room right now. Krishna made the plan. You may think you came to this room just because you wanted to eat. Or those of you from India, just because it reminds me of India. But Krishna's, many different reasons why he came here, right? I'm sure there's millions of reasons. But Krishna in your heart has used all these reasons to trick you to come here. because he wants you. And you want him, but you don't realize it. That's the difference. So, anyway, so that's the purpose in a nutshell of initiation. And those who are taking initiation are promising to chant a certain number of rounds every day. And as I said, trying to perfect the chanting. So the heart becomes cleansed as soon as possible, so that you become happy, satisfied, and like Krishna. And then you'll always be happy. I mean, I can say, since I've taken on Krishna consciousness, every day gets better. Like I said, 55 years, every day gets better. It's pretty good. How many people would say that here? That every day is better and better and better. And I'm so thankful, and it's amazing. My life is simply amazing simply because I'm connected with Krishna. He experienced that too. It's a that's the Zaki's experience. She's a great scholar, so she's asked me summaries of the Bhagavatam and literatures like that. Yeah, so it's just great. I'm having such a good time. You can say, I'm having such a good time. It should be illegal at my age. I could get arrested for me. So, what's wrong with you? What do you smoke? So anyway, so that's what you're all. That's what's in store for everyone here. You take up Krishna consciousness. I promise you. Prabhupada promises you. Krishna promises you. That's the future. Okay, so that's the reflection I want to do. So now we'll proceed, I guess, with the name giving. Is that right? Jai. So I was very careful